Fleeing the slithering tracker, Norman scrambles up the blasted wasteland surrounding the crooked dwarven keep. Heading steadily downwards into the crumbling hall and ducking between cracked statues, the space opens up into a large room supported by huge pillars. A thick layer of ash covers the floor, and bones crack under Norman's footsteps. Walking gingerly, trying to avoid disrespecting the ancient dead any further, he sees up ahead of him a large shape shift, followed by a terrible noise. A lick of flame illuminates the creature's 6 eyes as it rears up, revealing the monstrous Chimera. I swear when I wrote down this intro, I accidentally wrote Manticore instead of Chimera. We'll get into that later.
That's the biggest treble.
It's just, which one's which? Anyway, welcome everybody to Challenge Raiders, Pariahs from Doubt, Season 5. This is D&D drawing show where I draw a monster and we talk about it. My name's Theo.
I'm Neil, social media manager.
And I'm Sam.
We're all terrified of chimeras, and historically, as everyone should be, we're historically one that I think even in episode 1 when we talked about the Manticore, we did touch on the fact that it's easy to get the two confused because they're both lion-based monsters.
That fly. And a large.
They're fly, yeah.
I think it's a silhouette.
Yeah.
It's definitely a silhouette thing. Immediately, you might notice something that's odd about the chimera that I'm drawing, and maybe we'll cover that quickly or earlier on, just because the thing about the chimera is it's got 3 heads. It's a 3-headed beast. One's a lion, and in D&D, one of them's a dragon. I don't think that's traditional, to the chimeras of Legend.
I think one's
a goat, one's a dragon, one's a lion in D&D.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think the term chimera, often these days, is just used to describe any mix of creatures. I don't know where that's
snake.
Yeah, traditionally one of them is a snake, I believe. Yeah, not so in D&D. It does not have a snake tail, which I think is a bit of a missed opportunity. Anyway, we'll mention what I'm drawing when it becomes obvious. I think, which may be sooner rather than later. So yeah, the lore of the chimera is that some guys were trying to summon that dude Demogorgon, the 2-headed baboon man.
Boy.
So these dudes try to summon Demogorgon, and he's like, "You guys suck. I'm going to turn you into the chimera." I nearly said Manticore again.
We should put a swear box.
Yeah. Can we have a Manticore counter in the bottom right every time we say Manticore instead?
But yeah, he turned them to multi-headed monstrosities, I think is the line in the book. Yeah, I guess that's in reference to the fact that he himself, Demogorgon, is a 2-headed creature.
It's kind of his thing. He loves more than one head.
That is his defining trait.
And then it talks about how they're demonically cruel because of this demonic origin. Though they are monstrosities as their class, which I think is fine, makes sense.
Was that the Etin as well? Didn't it get cursed by Demogorgon?
No, the Etin was cursed by... Oh god, maybe it was actually. Okay, now...
Go back and rewatch episode 3 of...
No, it was episode 3 of that season, yeah. I'm looking for the word Demogorgon.
This is good. Keep this bit in.
Yes, it was Demogorgon. So I guess Demogorgon...
Yeah,
I guess Demogorgon just loves to give things 2 heads.
He loves it.
Can't get
multiple heads. Because, of course, the Chimera has 3. So, yeah, it goes on to explain that a typical specimen has a lion, body, and a goat back, and a dragon tail, and a goat head. So, I guess it is admitting straight up that it doesn't have to be that.
You can vary it up if you want.
I think it's very weird that... Because it doesn't say it was trying to be summoned... It wasn't a lion, a goat, and a dragon that was trying to summon Demogorgon. Then that would be... If you were running a child's equivalent, a fairy tale D&D, that would be very cool, I think. That could actually be quite cool. I guess a Narnia or a Wizard of Oz style campaign. I think that could be quite cool. But yeah, so I think it's a bit weird that... Because I don't know about you, but usually I think of dragons as being quite special. They're not just like animals.
Yeah, I think of them. They're on a tier above, dogs and stuff.
Yeah, so the fact that it's a goat and a lion and then a red dragon, because it's specifically a red one, for the stats at least, is very odd.
I think it's just the goat that's odd.
The goat is an odd pull, but at least a lion and a goat are both beasts. Yeah, and then there's this bit conflicted creature.
That's why you need the goat, because you need the stubbornness.
Well, yeah, that's what it says. It's like,
yeah.
Oh yeah, it has the worst aspects of all of its three parts, and the dragon wants to raid and plunder and get money, and then the lion wants to hunt and kill powerful creatures, which I don't think that's what lions do, but I mean they do that, but it's not. They just want to eat anyway.
Well, it's the noble knight thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so. And then the goat makes them mean and like stubborn, which is like so weird. It's very odd. So it talks about how they have like they're territorial, and so because of these traits, which I guess is fine. And then it lists their greatest rivals are, and then it lists pretty much every flying creature.
Yep.
It's like dragons, griffins, manticores, pterodons, and wyverns. It's like you can't say its greatest rivals are like the 5 flying monsters that you've heard of. That's not fair. That's cheating.
It didn't say harpies.
It didn't say harpies, which is very true.
Good friends with harpies.
Yeah, best mates with harpies.
Yeah.
It's just like when it hunts, it looks for ways to amuse itself, and it enjoys. Basically, it's quite a lot like the manticore in its behaviour. It's kind of evil. I don't remember if this was in the manticore bit, but we talked about it, I know. It's the last thing is servant of evil, basically saying it's pretty stupid, but if you bribe it, because of its sort of draconicness, it might be... It's prideful, so if you bribe it and are nice to it, it might work for someone evil. If you can keep it fed, that sort of thing.
It's much more like an animal than the manticore.
It's more like an animal, but I think that just makes it slightly less interesting to be... I said this before we recorded, but I'll say it now on record.
Here it comes.
I think the Chimera is just not as cool, not as interesting as the manticore, personally. As it is in the book. Maybe I'll change my mind by the end of this.
Yeah, I have an interesting idea about that too.
Sure.
Which we'll probably get to as well.
I guess you can now see also what I have brought.
Okay.
It's a different take.
You've done stacks on stacks.
I don't like the look of the general Chimera. I think if you look at traditional art of Chimera, they're also terrible. Like, if you look at medieval drawings of chimeras, the goat head just sort of comes out of it, just somewhere. It's fine.
Faces the opposite direction.
Yeah, it's like
if I was going to put it as like, make it hip and with the kids, I'd say it would fall into like the meme of things that are not aesthetic.
Yeah, it's very, very chaotic, unpleasant to look at. Bad vibes from this guy.
Yeah.
I guess the 3-head thing kind of is Cerberus-esque, so maybe that's a good like link to the demon stuff, but then again, like it's not... I don't think Demogorgon has anything to do with Hades, which is like one of the... Anyway. So yeah, I wanted to do one that was slightly... Because again, it's a creature that's been made through chaos, so I think them having a very rigid design, which they do, like there's a very specific like set of ideas for what Manticore is, I think is not necessarily super interesting. And if you have multiple... I think I said Manticores a couple times in there. If you have multiple chimeras using this like stat block, it'd be cool to have them all look kind of different. Like, they have the same aspects if you want to use the stats, but they can all, have that combination work in a different way. So this one has a horrible dragon for a tongue, which is gross, as we can all agree, I'm sure.
If you were going to if you're going to have like multiple ones in a fight, you could have different types of dragon, so different breath attacks. Previous
editions, there were versions that had like ice attack and stuff, and that's really easy to do because you just change the damage type, and then it suddenly and then say the color is different, and then that's fine.
It's not hard; it's a little bit different, isn't it?
I like the horror of this one.
Thank you. Yeah, I think the regular one as well. I think for our modern sensibilities is very goofy, which is fine. There's a lot of great goofy D&D monsters, but I think I wanted to do something that I'm kind of referencing the xenomorph with the tongue as well. Like,
yeah,
I think the design of your chimera kind of says a lot. I didn't say manticore that time. I think the design of your chimera can say a lot about
your manticore,
about what it's about, why it exists, and kind of I guess even like the tone of your campaign. Like, if you do have the very classic one, that's fine, but if you do go for something kind of more monstrous and disgusting, that could be like, oh, this has been made, because obviously they're all made, but the kind of implication of the description is it was made a long time ago and now it's kind of its own race kind of thing. I think the manticore was the same.
Yeah,
that kind of thing.
I'm gonna say on this one in particular, short of like describing an original one as being covered in stitch marks or something like that.
Yeah.
This one really does get across that it's unworldly. Yeah, there's something very wrong about it. That's like, this didn't evolve or isn't natural because nothing would be like this. Something made this be like this.
Yeah.
It definitely highlights the demonic nature of its creation.
And the only thing I'll say more about the design just at this point as well is the thing about the Chimera, and we'll talk about stats more in depth in a second, is it has very low intelligence. And when you see like a dragon head on a thing, the dragons of D&D are like smart creatures.
I was gonna bring up I know it's like the aspects of them is what it's saying more so, but I agree. I find it really jarring that there's a dragon and it has 3
Yeah, it has 3 intelligence, and again, like the dragon head as it is just like the red dragon head on this creature. So it would feel weird and not necessarily bad. Just I think if I saw something with a dragon head in D&D, and I'm used to D&D dragons, I would assume that head at least would be intelligent and be able to speak and stuff, and maybe it could even be in conflict with the other heads. We've talked about this with the Eshin and stuff. That could be very cool, but
there are D&D creatures like pseudo dragons.
That is true, yeah.
Which are basically like dragons and the wyverns and things that have draconic features that aren't intelligent.
I think the main thing is just because the official art has like when you look at the red dragon head on their official Chimera art, it's like, that just looks like, he doesn't look stupid, he looks horrible and monstrous, he's a dragon, he's a scary guy.
That's the thing.
Anyway,
in his stat thing, there is a very interesting line that it does understand draconic.
It does have. Yeah, so we'll talk. Let's talk about stats. Yeah. So as you say, it understands draconic, but it can't speak.
Which I think is the same as pseudo dragon.
Ooh, that's probably true.
I think a pseudo dragon can do that too.
I think you need to, because to be able to communicate with it, you need to have some like warlock chain stuff. I think.
Yeah.
Psychic communication and all that. But and as you said, Sammy, it's got that 3 int. It's got 14 wisdom. So I guess maybe that's like an intelligence in a way, because it can this is probably one of the creatures with the lowest intelligence that can understand a language. There's probably not a lot of things with 3 intelligence that
I think so
have that. I'm not. I think it'd be very difficult to like roleplay something that has decent wisdom and can understand you. But like, how does it? I guess it is just driven by its like primal wants of, I want to kill big stuff. I want to have money. And I'm gonna fight you to death. Those are the 3 things. I think it'd be weird to use like that.
Maybe you could display the conflict between the heads.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, when you speak Draconic to it, the lion and the goat heads don't understand, but the Draconic head starts nipping at them to get them to back off and stop.
Yeah, that could be cool. I think having the heads have distinct personalities, if you do go with the classic look of it, could be very cool. And I would even be tempted to have the dragon head be able to speak and be more intelligent, but be like, hey, I'm not in charge here.
Lion is in charge of the
Lion's you need
Lion's
to speak with animals. You need to speak with animals or whatever to talk to the lion. That could be fun. But yeah, other than that, its stats it's got 19 strength. It's not got much with the way of dex. It's got good constitution. Charisma of 10 feels odd for it. For something with 3 in, and I guess for the charisma they're just like, I don't know. It's got to be able to scare people at least a little bit, so you can't get it too low. I guess it used
to be warlocks.
Yeah.
It's majestic in some way, with this big wingspan.
Charisma is like because charisma isn't just, hey, how's it going, and then winking. It's like presence as well, and I guess the Chimera just command a lot of presence in that it's a big, in fact, it's a large, scary creature with a lot of personality, as it were, with its 3 heads. AC and hits and health and stuff, it's only got 14 AC and 114 hit points. That's not, like, loads. Especially 14 AC is going to be getting hit quite a lot, I feel.
The level I would want to throw one of these at someone,
114
hit points more than enough, because I would throw this at, like, level 4, 3, 4 pi.
Right, I get you, if you're using it as a solo creature.
It's as a solo creature, definitely.
Yeah, because it's challenge rating 6, but I think that it'd be a cool, like, decent boss to that level, as it is in here.
It would hit hard.
For sure, yeah.
Multi-attack of 3 attacks is quite low. Obviously, the fire breath is pretty nasty.
More so with this than any other creature, this is a great opportunity for its multi-attacks to each target a different creature.
Yeah, 100%.
Very, very much.
And this creature is completely susceptible to spells. of any type. Like,
Yeah.
so easily shut down by many different things. If they cast blindness on it, maybe one of the heads is blinded. You know.
That's true. Yeah. We fought one another, a slightly modified one, and the DM for that did something I thought was quite interesting, which is having each head go on a different round, which I thought was quite cool. That was cool. It kind of got its like chaoticness across. The only other interesting thing from its top of its stat block, I think, is obviously it's got fly speed of 60, which is fast, not the fastest, but it's fast.
Pretty fast. But...
It has perception plus 8 as its only like trained skill. I was surprised to not see that it because like the Etid and stuff I think have advantage on like sight based perception checks essentially.
That's true.
Basically everything with 2 heads has decent perception, or 2 or more heads.
Perception 18.
2 heads better than 1.
Exactly. So so that's I guess good. That's there. I'm surprised that it didn't have advantage. I think that was the thing for other things, but maybe not.
Or not being put to sleep as well was.
Yeah. So it feels. I think in a way it makes.
Hydra.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so in a way it's like odd. My one fixes that by only having one main head, as it were.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, the top head falls asleep and everything else just slops back in.
It's like, oh Jesus.
That stuff could easily be added, especially considering. I mean, not that challenge rating means anything, but challenge rating 6, like. You probably want to give it a couple of resistances like that, maybe.
Again, I think it's such a classic that it'd be a really cool boss for a slightly higher level party in certain campaigns. So I think this is one that I would really want to soup up. And I don't think it would be too difficult again. For example, like it has this breath attack, and I was reading, I was like, oh, I bet the breath is pretty nasty. And it's not nice, but it's only a 15-foot cone, which is basically the smallest a cone is. In 5th.
It's pretty big.
78 is a lot of damage.
Yes, 78 is big, but it's not. Again, 15-foot cone. Depending on how smart people are being about being together, it may not get more than 2 people in that. Depending, of course, on the environment. All this.
If you're throwing it at a lower level party, then that is gonna knock people down instantly.
Yeah. I think you guys in my campaign are like 3rd level. I think the average is below. I think you all have below 30 HP. So again, if this thing rolls average, then it will kill.
With plus 7 to hits and 2d6
yeah.
attacks. And along your lines of how to suit one of these up, this is the thing I was going to say.
Oh, yeah.
When we talked earlier about this being worse than the Manticore, why not both?
Oh, yeah.
Why not give it the spiny tail?
Oh, I'll give it a ranged attack, yeah.
Yeah, give it the spiny tail. Give it, and then it's basically got all the benefits of a Manticore, while also having all the benefits of a Chimera.
Yeah.
There's out there is some absolute mad lad that wanted to fuse the 2 fused monsters together to make a super fusion.
Yeah. He's crossbred them. Yeah. Well, if you have like a guy who's got like a Manticore in a cage, he's got a Chimera on the side, is like, hey, if he's like in a position of power and he's got that, he has the time and the resources, having a crossbreed could be really cool.
Yeah, just mad scientist lair.
Definitely, yeah. And if you do have like both of them, as it were, like encountered in a similar organization, then that's the way to ramp it up. It's like next, like, oh no, it's both of them mixed together. But yeah, in terms of souping up, I guess like different breath weapons. So using one from like a young dragon or whatever, probably easy enough. I think it's pretty similar to a young dragon one actually. But anyway, that's obviously very simple. I guess, and as well with the damage, multi-attack of 3 attacks, you're never gonna need more than that anyway. Even at high level, I don't think anything has more than like maybe 4. So that you don't need to change the attacks, especially to make it more interesting. Maybe just up the damage a little bit. But
yeah, the interesting thing is, from a design point, I feel that maybe Chimera was designed quite early on in development.
Sure.
Because of one of its cool things that could be like, oh yeah, that's cool, is that one of its attacks is piercing, one of its attacks is bludgeoning, and one of its attacks is slashing.
Yeah.
But against players, that makes no difference whatsoever.
Almost no difference.
True.
Basically none. Nothing in like the base books, as it were, makes that matter.
If you have a necromancer, then maybe it will affect him attacking his skeletons, but
or zombies, for one of his attacks.
Yeah,
the damage for each one of these would definitely like take off half their health anyway.
Exactly. So that's the thing. Like, from a design of like, oh yeah, one of each. That's really cool, but practically it doesn't do much.
Yeah.
So maybe you could really differentiate the 3 different attacks.
I would say like having the ram have the charge thing on it, so like if it moves a certain amount of feet, it can knock you down. That's a really obvious thing.
Or you just put a knockdown in it.
Or just having a knockdown straight in there, and the bite giving it a grapple, that kind of thing.
Bite giving it a grapple. And maybe claws, maybe not claws, maybe the dragon head, Maybe the dragon head is firebolting every turn out of its mouth.
Yeah, that could be cool. Yeah, that's a cool range actually. Yeah,
the dragon breath is firebolting, or maybe the dragon head, because of its neck, has reach.
Depending on the setting and depending on how you play it, you could even have the dragon head be like a spellcaster of casting actual spells, not just cantrip. That would have implications, I think, to decide that, but it could be cool.
That would lean a bit out of the low int creature range, though.
Exactly, yeah. It's a sorcerer, something like that. Anyway.
It's true.
Wisdom is a druid. Anyway. It's alright. It's kind of cool. Why did they give it a snake tail? I guess it's probably just based on, like, it didn't have one in the old days of D&D, and obviously this has been in it since first. How uses for it? Any way you'd use a manticore, you could also use this. That's the other thing.
A lot as a guardian.
Yeah.
Of a location. It's kind of a Sphinxian, very classic fantasy, Iliad.
Yeah.
Not Iliad, Odyssey kind of.
Yeah.
But there is a bizarre monster that is guarding a tomb.
You can use it like you might use a dragon if dragons weren't too significant, as it were. Like, it's in a place it has stuff.
It'd be the kind of thing where you go into a town and they go, by the way, don't go north of the river. That's its lair. Like, that's its territory. A
cool thing for a bigger town to have a bounty on, I suppose. Like, if you can stop this Chimera, that would be very handy.
The Snakebite tribe to the north have a mangy pet that guards their lair.
Yeah. Any use as a cool pet for a tougher creature or a big intelligent creature could be very, very interesting, very cool.
Manticore and Chimera just fighting it out.
Yeah. Maybe even like now this would be a bit weird, but like a god, just some Kuatoa. That could be kind of cool. I think that could work for any monster, but like the chaotic nature of it, I think could be quite cool for that.
I really like that because it doesn't believe it's a god itself, but the Kuatoa keep feeding it.
Yeah. So they keep it's like fair enough, and maybe it eats one of them every now and again.
Yeah,
like, oh
maybe
no,
that's how it began.
The wrath of God.
It began by kind of eating them, pestering their village, and then they began to worship it as a god and leave it offerings, and then it left them alone. And then you've got priests who have like little paper mache heads, either side of their own.
Yeah, like pauldrons. Yeah,
exactly. Cool. And it's like we believe in the three-headed being.
It's one of those ones like we talked about with Owlbear ages ago, like. This is a good indicator that things are fantasy. It's a classic.
Yeah.
You're no one's gonna be shocked by it, I don't think. It's not really a shocking creature in terms of like, the Chimera. Wasn't expecting that.
Not anymore.
Perhaps once, yeah.
Maybe a couple thousand years ago, people were like, 3 heads. Ah!
And also, let's not forget, some people do play with kids.
Yep.
That's true.
This could be
a very good point.
Quite a surprising and kind of scary creature for a kid.
And it's a great miniature as well. Like it is goofy, like the proper design. I mean, mine's pretty goofy as well, but in a different way. But it is cool, especially when you see like a good bit of design for one. Are there any other interesting like use cases?
The non-normal heads chimeras, like getting creative with what the heads are, could change how the creature acts, because it says it represents the worst of it.
As long as you don't, as long as you don't say frog.
Yeah, no frog.
No
frog Chimera would be pretty bad.
No frog heads.
But it'd be so easy to make because there's so many frogs in D&D to pull from.
Please.
Maybe you have a different head that has different senses. Like maybe one head's a bat.
I like the idea of having like an Underdark. What I want more Chimera variants. Because it's like obviously it's easy enough to do, but like it's just very cool. Like the idea of like an Underdark one who has some freaky Underdark creatures mixed in, or maybe even a more draconic one, so you could have like a wyvern and a dragon and something else. I don't know.
Maybe like a bat and a rat, and then like
a vermin Chimera.
Yeah,
that could be pretty gross.
A bat, a rat, and I don't know. It has to be something that's maybe good at seeing. Like, I don't know, an owl.
About like a bird of some sort.
And then you have like a hearing one, a smell one, and a sight one. And it's like, you could have that maybe the others don't use the other senses. They're all the ones that can't see are blind, the ones that can't hear. Yeah. And then your party could maybe try and do creative things to draw its attention in different ways, because the other ones can't sense those different things, and it could be fun.
I still prefer the Manticore because I think it's more interesting in the way you can use it as it is in the book, mainly because of the talk. I think if this thing had a bit higher intelligence and could talk, as it were, I wouldn't have that issue with it. And you can do this, but again, as it is in the book, I'm like, oh, I wish it could talk. But maybe that might not be. That's not really the point necessarily. I guess it is meant to be it's a chaotic, nasty creature. So
it's a good like starting point for like a lot of like obviously. Well, I mean, I'd say the majority of time we've spent looking at it is talking about ways it could be better or more interesting, as opposed to what is actually in the book.
Again, as I said, like, the different damage types for each attack, cool, but actually it means nothing.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean anything in Fifth for it to have different damage types. Only the DM cares about that sort of thing, and only if you have an item that gives you resistance to a certain kind of damage. But that's... I don't think there are any that give you, like, slashing over... Whenever something gives you damage resistance to, like, weapon attacks, as it were, it's all of them, yeah.
Are we basically just saying that the concept of mixing monsters together is cool?
I think it's cool and good as an idea.
I think that's basically what we're saying.
Do you want to think about numbers? I think numbers is going to really sort this all out. We're going to really change something here by giving this a number.
I know there's literally like 1 or 2s of people that care about the score, so...
They definitely care a lot. It's very important.
3 of them are right here.
Exactly. Well, I don't care that much, but that's why I put 1 or 2.
Oh, jeez.
2.5.
If I remember back, Manticore was very middle of the road.
It got like an 11 or 12 or something, didn't it?
We decided that it was very middle.
I think we decided it was slightly above average.
Yeah.
Because with this, I was saying 10. I was thinking...
Oh, yeah.
It's good. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's totally fine.
I think it's totally fine as well.
I want to go 9.
Yeah?
I want to go 9 because I'm so disappointed in that all of its attacks are 2d6 plus 4 or 1d12 plus 4.
That is actually true. Yeah, like
compare it to even a bear, and a bear is like 1d10 and 2d6.
Yeah, because it doesn't actually...
It makes no difference.
True.
It's just reskinning the same attack.
Yeah, it feels like...
It
feels like the lion bite should be more... That like the horn should do less damage, but then push you or knock you down.
Yeah. The work hasn't been done. Damage. The work hasn't been done, and it could have been.
And if you were to use it, because again, if you were to use this as it is in the book, it would be fine, but it wouldn't be as good as it could be without even a lot more effort. So I think 9 is pretty reasonable.
I think it's a fantastic base for a creature.
Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, and really great inspiration for just shifting it up, which would be really easy, as we say. But
and giving it a rider, that could even be what the one thing it needs is direction, maybe.
Yeah.
A beastmaster who has tamed the heads,
I don't know how Norman's going to get out of this one. I guess it just keeps failing on its recharge for its fire breath, and he probably runs past it, to be quite honest. He's not brought any weapons with him.
He's just bravely running away.
Maybe he throws his water skin into the dragon's mouth.
Yeah. I think what happens here is the lionhead bites down accidentally and bites its tongue dragon, and then it's distracted and he
bites the lionhead.
And then they go and he can't do anything. He runs off. So Norman's going to plow headfirst deeper into this past this little opening and into the actual dungeon proper, I believe, is where he'll be heading next week, I'm going to say, for hopeful, correct reasons.
Was this guy caged in any way? Or was he just loose? Why was he here?
He was loose, but I think he's just found a nice place to bed down, to be quite frank. It's a big open area in this dungeon. He can't fit down the next corridor. It's a narrow corridor. I think this is a very lazy use of a chimera in this campaign. Whoever's DMing this campaign is being very lazy.
Yeah, they really phoned this one in.
Because they just thought this would be a cool place to put like a slumbering dragon, but dragons are too strong and like have too many implications. So I'll do the next best thing.
So I'm gonna take that slumbering dragon and I'm going to add a lion head and a goat head to
yeah,
that.
Situation. But to be fair, I think that is actually a pretty legit use of a chimera because it's not smart. So it can't talk. So your party aren't going to be... They're not going to come across it and going to go like, oh, we should talk to it and get loads of info out of it. Because they shouldn't really be able to. So having it just as a simple guardian monster, it's not exciting, but it makes more sense than something intelligent like a dragon, which they can ask it, hey, why are you here? And then it has to have a reason, as it were. Like this thing, you never need to find out its reason because it doesn't have to. You can't tell you it. Not that that's good practice.
I think that this is one of the most deserving 9s because it's almost a monster that's great.
I think, as you say, yeah, it feels early, and then they just needed to like take another look at it again and be like, I think if this came out in like in Volos or Xanathars or whatever,
be pretty great in that.
It would, they would have like put the extra effort in, I think. But
yeah,
for now, a 9 feels fine. I really like this monster. I will probably use one at some point.
I love it, yeah.
I will change it, I think.
Honestly, until we kind of were thinking about like monsters and things for this campaign coming out.
Yeah.
And you even reminding me of it just now. I hadn't thought about a Chimera as a D&D monster.
Yeah.
In a long time, except that it's not a manticore.
Yeah, because it's always just like, the manticore. I mean the Chimera. Which one breathes fire? The Chimera.
Go back to episode 1 of Challenge Raiders, where you show the picture to Raj and he immediately goes Chimera.
Chimera. I guess that's the end of this video. Oh no. We've got to make Chimera jokes. I actually forgot.
If you consider us the Chimera of Challenge Raiding, you should probably subscribe.
What does that even mean? Isn't
With
like
three people
are the
with each
three
of
heads?
Yeah.
And we each represent the worst parts of humanity.
We are the three-headed beast that creates this terrible content. No, it's good content. We love it. If you don't like this video, the Demogorgon's gonna curse you and turn you into a goat-headed part of a creature along with 2 of your friends.
Oh,
Very
no.
good. Very good.
Share this video with 2 friends, and then the Demogorgon will turn you into a Chimera. Maybe that'll get someone. Someone definitely wants to be a Chimera.
Yeah, and your 2 friends don't get a choice. That's the best bit.
That's the worst.
Yeah,
You just share it with them.
You just once they see it and they say, "I'm not watching a 30-minute video," it's too late.
Yeah, should I do like a what's the word? A call of engagement?
Yes.
And be like, if you want to, in the comment section, why don't you suggest what your preferred fusion of monsters would be to make a cool Chimera?
You know what? That's actually a fair point.
We'd like to hear from you because we've said loads of ones. Maybe you've got a really good idea of a group of monsters that would make a cool like theme of a Chimera.
That's a good
Sam,
and
stop
fair
showing
point.
us up. This bit's for shitty puns. And
I mean, don't leave any bad comments in the
there we
comment
go.
section.
This is meant to be bad jokes. That was good.
Yeah.
What do you want from me?
Do you have to crit this thing with a vorpal sword 3 times to kill it?
Definitely.
It's a good question.
That's the most important question.
What they don't tell you about the Chimera is its 4th head.
The 4th head secretly on the inside.
Yeah.
It's got a cranium wrap for a brain.
They called it the forehead.